Hunter Biden and the Hunter Biden laptop, the laptop that fortunately will never go away because we don't know what's in it. And information continues to leak out. And as it does, we continue to see that there is, in fact, more going on than maybe meets the eye. Recall on this channel, we talked a lot about the Hunter laptop and Tony Bobulinski and Burisma and all of the nefarious activities that Hunter Biden was involved in prior to the election taking place when literally nobody else was talking about it. We even showed on Ground News, it's a news aggregator site. We went and looked at the stories, and it will show you what different entities are covering what stories. And so it'll say these right-wing websites are covering this right-wing story, these left-wing websites are covering this left-wing story, and so on. The Hunter Biden stuff was a total blackout the entire election on all of the major mainstream sites. So they just didn't talk about it. Banned from Facebook and all sorts of different places. And that was a pretty big problem because there's a lot of troubling stuff on the laptop. And it doesn't just necessarily center around Hunter Biden. It also implicates Joe Biden. And as this continues to drip out and as more and more people are investigating this, this is going to continue to be a problem for the Biden administration, and it's probably going to grow into a much bigger problem, candidly. So let's take a look. Breitbart gave us a headline here. Says that our copy of Biden's laptop confirms that Joe Biden was a direct beneficiary of his son's deals. Okay, that's a big claim. A direct beneficiary of this, right? And we've already talked about this, Tony Bobulinski and some of the text messages between Hunter and his associate when he was on Burisma. We fleshed all of this out previously. But there were conversations taking place, and it was kind of difficult to directly implicate Joe Biden, right? And so the defense back during the election was, well, who knows what Hunter's doing? What does that have to do with Joe? Joe doesn't know anything about it. And they'd ask him about it, and he said, my son is the smartest person in the world, and I don't know anything about any of that. Well, doesn't look like that. So Peter Schweizer is the name of this guy. We're going to take a look at who he is. I pulled up his Wikipedia. He's part of an organization called the Government Accountability Institute, the GAI. He was on an interview with Sean Hannity, and he gave us some pretty interesting tidbits here. He says that President Joe Biden was, quote, a direct beneficiary of Hunter Biden's financial deals with foreign interests. And so he said on the show that we have a copy of the hard drive, laptop, and all the files. He said it confirms that Joe Biden was a direct beneficiary. Okay, it's a big claim. We have a clip of the show, but let's take a look at this guy. Who is this guy? Peter Franz Schweizer, American writer, political consultant, president of the Government Accountability Institute, senior editor-at-large over at Breitbart, which is where I pulled the article from. Former fellow at the conservative Hoover Institution, and he wrote Clinton Cash, a 2015 book. Also made, discussing donations that were made to the Clinton Foundation by foreign entities. And so he's kind of a right-wing guy, do as I say, not as I do, profile in liberal hypocrisy. Clinton Cash went to Oxford, went to George Washington University, political advisor, 56 years old. Let's see, peterschweizer.com. And, okay, so he's got a lot of history as somebody who sort of is on the right side of the conversation and then goes after the left, right? Went after Bill and Hillary Clinton, profiles in liberal hypocrisy, all of that. So we got that, right? We know who he is. No qualms about the fact that no allegations or implications here that this guy's sort of a centrist, independent journalist. Okay, he's a right-wing guy who wants to go and take out his left-wing opponents. Nothing wrong with that. You just got to make sure you understand that that's who we're talking about. He runs this organization, and you're going to see some names in here that cause people's hair to stand up if you are in the media. The Government Accountability Institute. What are they? Well, it's a conservative think tank based in Florida, founded in 2012 by Schweizer. Who else? Steve Bannon. And we got Robert Mercer. Remember the Mercer families? They allegedly are, this shadowy cabal of right-wingers out there who are wrecking America. Schweizer serves as the group president. The group is known for pushing conspiracy theories about Hillary Clinton in 2016, as well as conspiracy theories about Joe Biden before 2020. And so, as we know from Wikipedia, it's pretty slanted one direction. So basically, anytime that they say something like this about somebody, it's almost like a pure vetting of that individual, which means this guy's probably one of the most trustworthy people on the planet. If Wikipedia is characterizing his work as conspiracy theories about Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden, it's probably brilliant work, and it's probably pretty damn accurate if they're going to label it that, as we have seen here, right? Most of the things we talk about that are conspiracy theories, they turn out to be basically true. So according to Bloomberg Business Week, the organization is a self-styled corruption watchdog group funded by Rebecca Mercer, the Republican mega donor. I think she funds a lot of different things. I think she actually may fund some of Project Veritas stuff. So members of the board, they include Steve Bannon, Hunter Lewis, Ron Robinson, president of the Young America's Foundation, Winton Hall, and Peter Schweizer, of course. Their research method, they include analyzing tax filings, flight logs, foreign government documents, as well as engaging in data mining in the deep web. 97% of information on the web isn't indexed by traditional search engines, right? There's a lot of stuff out there that Google just doesn't care about, doesn't index, doesn't look, and you can't find it. So he goes and looks in that stuff. Between 2012 and 2014, they received donations, $4 million from the Mercer family and the Koch brothers, their donor trust, right? So a lot of these names have been sort of, puffed up as these nefarious actors from the right wing or conspiracy theories. Okay, so that's who this guy is. That's what they do. And apparently they've had a copy of this laptop for some time. So let's listen in. This is from Sean Hannity's show. There is, I think it's about a minute long clip here. But in the clip, they're going to be talking about the laptop. And there's something interesting legally happening here. Schweizer has a copy of the laptop. And Sean Hannity says, well, I don't have a copy of the laptop. My attorney said that I couldn't get a copy of that. Why? And he says, well, because there's some stuff on there that is problematic. Here's why I have a copy anyways. So you probably already know what kind of content might be problematic. What kind of content would Sean Hannity's lawyers say you don't want anything to do with that? You don't want to touch that. You don't want a copy of it. Don't ask for it. If it's been offered to you, don't take it. Don't even get near it. Don't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Don't even think about it. What kind of content might be on there? Don't have to be a defense lawyer to piece that one together, but let's listen in.
The Bidens from the beginning have lied and shifted the goalposts. At first, remember, they said, no, there are no foreign deals with the Chinese. That's all fake news. But then when it
and real quick, I apologize on that.
it turned out that,
there's
of course,
two
those
parts.
deals.
There's two parts of this thing. He's going to walk back through the slow progression. He's going to say, no, they said Hunter didn't do anything wrong. But then he did do something wrong, but Joe didn't know about it. Oh, but then Joe didn't know about it, but then he kind of knew about it. But not the full extent. But then he didn't get the benefit. Oh, but he wasn't the beneficiary. And he walks us through that. It's pretty good. Listen.
Deals were real. We showed that they were real. They said, well, Joe Biden had no knowledge of those deals. When we showed that Joe Biden had knowledge of those deals, it shifted to, well, he never discussed it with his son. Then when we showed that he discussed it with his son, they shifted to, well, he never directly benefited. What we see from the Hunter Biden laptop, and we do have a copy, by the way, here at GAI of the laptop and all the files. It confirms that Joe Biden was a direct beneficiary.
How come you have a copy, the New York Post has a copy, the Daily Mail has a copy, and my lawyers won't let me get a copy, even though I've been offered a copy? Because I am told that there are things on there that would be illegal to be in my possession if I had them, and I appreciate my lawyers looking out for me, but is that true?
It is. What you don't want is you don't want access to the photos because there is some, at least I've been led to believe. So what we have are all the emails, all the attachments, and you're
Okay, so we have all the emails, we have all the attachments. What you don't want are the photos. We also just read from Wikipedia, right, that these guys do a lot of the deep web searches. So they're sort of plugged into the dark web and Tor networks and all of these other areas of the web that most people never go or even think about. So they are sort of experts and plugged in that space. They have a copy of the hard drive. They don't have a copy of the photos. And it sounds like that's because the photos would be highly illegal, right? And what kind of photos are highly illegal? It's typically photos involving children. And those photos are of them doing awful, horrendous, highly evil, very illegal things. And so that's what they're talking about without them talking about that, right? Which means that if that is in fact on a laptop, on a hard drive somewhere, that's a highly, highly, highly problematic thing for the Biden family, for the Biden administration. If there's any cover up with any of this stuff, that's basically, if that ever hit the public, I think that's the end of the administration, honestly, right? There's one thing that nobody in America stands for. It's wrong things being done to children. If that ever got out and there was any hint that this was being covered up, I don't know how any administration, politician, or family could survive an allegation like that on a national scale. So, who knows if that is in fact in there, but this got me thinking a little bit differently, right? How did this guy get the email, and where did all of this stuff originate from? And so I started to think back, maybe that, remember what happened with the laptop in the first place. Allegedly, Hunter Biden took it to an Apple repair store, forgot about it because he was cracked out of his mind somewhere, and the person who received the hard drive called the FBI. They came. There was a lot of problems with that, like a lot of questionable activity that took place there. But apparently this guy made an image, backed up the hard drive, and we don't know what happened with that, right? Did he upload it to the internet? Is that image, is it, a one-to-one copy of that hard drive uploaded, floating around Tor somewhere? Is it floating around the dark web that this guy has a lot of experience with? And if so, did they download a copy of that? And did somebody strip out some of the illegal images from that file or not? And if it's being passed around with the illegal images in it, then being in possession of that is highly illegal, right? Because even if you didn't make any of those images or even look at them, being in possession of them alone is highly, highly illegal. And it's something that is not joked about, right? You go to prison for years based on images, 10 years on image. You got 50 images, that's 10 years time. It's a lot of time in prison just for being in possession of the images. So you can see how quickly this gets problematic, which is exactly why Sean Hannity and his lawyers, they don't want anything to do with it at all. So then the next question becomes, well, if somebody made a one-to-one image of the exact hard drive and there are those images that are floating around in the image, right? So we're talking about a copy of the hard drive that might contain illegal images, and those are being spread around the internet. Is there a file or a version of that that has the images stripped out of that would enable this guy or the New York Post or some of the other news agencies that Sean Hannity was mentioning to shift around or to spread around the files? But then you might be saying, well, why would anybody even want to touch those files? And who would have prepared that file so that we know that it is missing any of the illegal images? And so you've got this file. The point of all this is you've got this file that is very dangerous file, and nobody really knows what's in it. Nobody wants to touch it. Nobody wants to look at it. It's sort of being spread around the dark web, maybe, right? I haven't confirmed that, but I would guess that copies of this are being passed around from person to person, and everybody's going through this very slowly and very carefully, which is why this information is sort of slowly trickling out in front of our eyes. We know the New York Post is also going through this because they gave us this image. And this was one that is sort of shedding new light on the conversation about what Joe actually knew. Here is Joe Biden. Here is Hunter Biden. And here are some of Hunter's business associates. Okay, we've got Jeff Cooper, Carlos Slim, Mexican billionaire, Miguel Alemán Velasco. We've got Miguel Alemán. We've got Magnani in a photo. This photo was taken in 2015. Guess who was vice president back then? Joe Biden was, right? And we have in the living room of the Naval Observatory. So here's Hunter Biden standing there. I'm guessing this is not take your kid to work day, right? He's not there as on the board of Burisma, which is a company over in the Ukraine, right? These are Mexican business officials, a Mexican billionaire, and they are doing deals. And here is Joe Biden standing right there in the middle of it. This was reported by Miranda Devine. This was posted back on June 30th. Laptop shows that Joe Biden attended meetings between Hunter and his Mexican business partners, right? Joe Biden was there. She says at some point, the Biden White House is going to have to confront the evidence of the president's involvement in Hunter's shady business deals. Joe Biden insists he never knew a thing about Hunter's deals when he was vice president, right? When he would be able to wield influence. But evidence abounds on Hunter's abandoned laptop of Joe's involvement. For instance, Joe invited Hunter's foreign associates to breakfast meetings at his vice presidential residence and to his office in the White House, the laptop shows. He took his son on Air Force Two to countries where Hunter was doing deals, and on at least one occasion included one of Hunter's business partners on the trip. More than 100 events scheduled in Hunter's diary at the VP's residence. More than 100, among more than 100. At the Naval Observatory in D.C., there were meetings which appear to overlap with Hunter's business interests, right? The two were working hand in hand. We already all knew that, but now it's sort of being confirmed. Breakfast with Dad, NAVOBS, is one such meeting, right? Breakfast with Dad at the Naval Observatory. Recorded 8:30 on November 19, 2015. 5 photographs, date stamped on that day, were taken at 10:03, 10:04. They appear on the laptop. They show Joe Biden posing with 4 of Hunter's business associates, including Mexico's billionaire Carlos Slim and Miguel Alemán Velasco. There's Joe Biden. Breakfast with Dad. Guess who else had breakfast? Right? Carlos Slim and Miguel Alemán Velasco down here. So Joe Biden absolutely knew about it. One photo also features Velasco's son, the founder of budget airline Interjet, whose Acapulco mansion Hunter and wife Kathleen stayed at in March. Jeff Cooper, longtime Biden family benefactor, ran one of the largest asbestos litigation firms in the country, also appears. The photos were taken in the living room of the VP's residence, which was painted at the time in a daffodil yellow, chosen by Jill Biden. Isn't that nice? Featuring a distinctive painting by Vermont artist Wolf Kahn on loan from Addison Ripley Fine Art in Georgetown. 2 floral chairs and a pink-toned silk rug in the photos match the decor of the living room. In the background of whatever, right? Who cares about the decor? We care about the people in the room with Joe Biden and the allegations that he had no idea any of this stuff was going. Oh, no, I have no idea. Liars, all of them. So let's go back. Let's see here. So let's go back now to the original interview. So I sort of took us on a detour. We were talking about Schweizer, who's in possession of the laptop, who's sort of implying on Sean Hannity's show that maybe there's some very problematic, highly illegal, evil pictures on the photograph on the laptop that Hunter Biden was in possession of. And so we go through that. We know that there's more smoke here. There's more fire here. We already have been following the smoke. There's a smoldering flame of debris there that we have to sort through. And the GAI, which is the organization that Schweizer is a part of, they're still going through this. Breitbart tells us that they are in the process of investigating its copy of files found on the laptop. He said that the GIA's forthcoming reports on the laptop will expose disastrous dimensions of the Biden family. He says, we're in the middle of the investigation now, but by the end of the year, it will be completed. It will take on a far more sinister tone than it has even now in terms of what it says about Biden and the vulnerabilities of the Biden family. It's that bad, right? Hannity said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad are the coming revelations? He added, the coming revelations, based on what we are in the middle of right now, on a scale of 1 to 10, and you know, Sean, I'm pretty cautious about this stuff, frankly, are an 11. It's that bad. Hunter Biden claimed not to know whether the laptop was his. Asked in April about the authenticity, he replied, for real, I don't know. For real, I don't know. No, seriously, I have no idea. It's your laptop, my man, and everybody knows it. And so, my big question on this always for some time has always been, well, where is it? Just release the whole, tell what's in it. What's in it? What takes you so long? Why is this so complicated? And it actually is complicated from the way he described it. He said, listen, what we're doing is we're reassembling every day of this guy's life, like day by day. So they go through and like every day is like a puzzle, essentially. He didn't explain it this way, but I know what he's doing. So he said that, look, most people, most journalists, what they do is they get a copy of the hard drive. You can imagine, right? A hard drive with access to email accounts and everything is going to have a ton of data on there. And most of it is going to be kind of hard to decipher unless you're that person. A lunch with John. Well, who the hell was John? Where was lunch? What were you talking about? And so you got to take that meeting that's on a calendar on a Monday on Hunter's laptop and go, okay, John, all right, well, what else was happening on March 5th? So you go back. What was Joe doing on March 5th? Okay, he was here, here, here. Now that day doesn't match. Okay, go to March 6th. Okay, Hunter was here. Joe Biden was over. Oh, okay, we have an overlap here. And in fact, they're both over here. And this guy was over here. And so, you sort of take that, all this data, and you sort of, recreate a person's life, and you go day by day and unpack it all. And so that takes some time. He's saying what other journalists were doing was sort of doing keyword searches, right? They open up the laptop, they type in Donald Trump, and they sort of report on anything that showed up under Donald Trump. This is a little bit different. And this is where you're connecting things at a deeper level, and they're going to, reveal all of that later. I do get irritated that we have this like drip, 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 drip stuff going on. But I also understand that there are tactical reasons to not also release the information, right? This stuff, if it is that powerful and vulnerable, what benefit do they get discussing any of that right now? What benefit does anybody get right now versus, let's say, talking about this on the eve of the 2022 election or on the eve of the 2024 election if Joe Biden makes it that far. So we'll see it when it comes out. I would like to see it. Certainly, I think that a lot of this stuff would have been worthwhile to investigate before the election. If any of the other journalists had not been doing a disservice to America and been doing their job, then that would have been good. But of course, we know that they are not going to do that. All right, so let's see what you have to say over from watchingthewatchers.locals.com. And we got some questions coming in. Hunter's laptop, Miss Lucky says that the Dems have pushed the Russia planted it story. If so, why didn't Sleepy Joe hop all over that and put this whole thing away with evidence? Because it's not because Russia didn't plant it. If they did, then they would have a pretty easy out, but they don't. That's why Hunter has to go and say, I don't know where it came from. I don't know. That's a good question. I'm curious too. We have Speech Unleashed says, I think it is interesting that all of Trump's children were criticized in the media, but for some reason, Biden's son is supposed to be off limits. The double standard is overwhelming, from Speech Unleashed. Well, that's because he's just an artist. Artists are delicate, and we don't want to offend them. We have Ghost Gunner says, oh no, I can't believe Joe is a corrupt politician. How is that possible? He doesn't even tweet mean things or instill insurrections. Please, Rob, reach out to Facebook to verify these supposed facts. Yeah, that's from Ghost Gunner. I probably should just hire a fact checker, maybe from Facebook. Maybe I can get one of their moderators to just fact check me on the show. We'll never get through the show. All right, let's see what else we have. We've got Want to Know is here, says, can a lawyer have copies of illegal photos without getting in trouble because you're a lawyer? No. So we don't get those images, nor do we want them or want anything to do with those. When you're talking about images like that, they strip them out of the discovery. So it never actually hits public record or any discovery files. They're not going to, I've worked on cases like this, right? They don't give you the evidence there. You still are entitled to go see it if you want to, but it's all done on secure terminals that are not connected to the internet. They don't want those images getting out. So in a typical criminal case, they just give us everything. We say, hey, our client was charged with a DUI. We want blood results. We want police reports. We want body cam footage. We want to know what your crime lab did and all this stuff. They got to give all of that to us, including the body cameras, the recordings, right? The photographs, the actual handwritten notes of the crime lab technicians and things like that. But when you're talking about a case involving children with images like that, they don't send that over to us in our files, right? That it is so protected for good reason. They don't want that getting out again because it proliferates and it's a big problem. So nope, we don't get them. We don't want them. And I'm okay with that. Let's see. Osak says, Rob, big fan. So being a lawyer, how do you find the gun from Hunter used? He says, I checked Lex, SCOTUS, FBI, ATF, and found nothing. So any help would be great. So how do I find the gun that Hunter used? So I don't know. I don't know. How do I find the gun from Hunter used? I checked Lexus, SCOTUS, FBI, ATF, found nothing. So I'm not sure what you're asking there, Osak, and I apologize. I'm not sure if you're asking if you can go and sort of look up his registration. I don't think that you can do that. So I apologize that I'm just not understanding it. It's probably on my end, the miscommunication. All right, Leafy Bug is here, says, so the FBI has had this laptop with a bunch of these images on it, and they did nothing. You'd think that they would be something they'd want to follow up on, but they are too busy, Leafy Bug, trying to find all of the insurrectionists. Children, afterthought. Grandma in the Capitol building? Somebody call the SWAT team. Savdi is here, says Schweizer's report will probably be more dependably delivered than Durham's. Yeah, where is Durham? Whatever happened to that guy? That's from Savdi. And we got a couple more coming in before we wrap up. We've got Leafy Bug is in the house. Leafy Bug says, I'm a little dubious if this is coming through Hannity, as he spent the last 3 years over-promising and under-delivering. I totally agree with that. With his predictions about what would happen to the deep state wrongdoers who were behind the Russiagate hoax. I totally agree with that, Leafy Bug. Look, if Sean Hannity came out and said, listen, I talked to somebody and he said this is a level 11 out of a 10 or whatever, I'd say, whatever, Sean. You've been saying that for like 4 years. I like Sean Hannity, by the way. I don't want to... I used to listen to Sean Hannity cleaning pools. Back in the day, man, I had this old FM armband that had earbuds, right? I was listening, no, AM. It was an AM armband. Yeah, AM, FM armband. Remember those things? When you had the Sony Walkmans and those things? You kids don't understand what we had to go through out there. But we had these FM radios that I would put on my arm and go clean pools, listening to Sean and Rush and whoever else was on 550 KFYI. It was Barry Young in the morning and some other people. Back in the day, they're not around anymore, obviously. But yeah, Sean, the TikTok thing, the drip stuff, I'm over it. But we'll see what else is out there. I do believe that there are some seriously problematic things on this laptop, just because of how the case is being handled. Right? There is so much concern everywhere you look about this laptop. The media is freaked out about it. The government is freaked out about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. That means there's some good stuff on there. We already got Leafy Bug. Sorry, I was going to do another Leafy Bug. We got Hyper Patriots here. Says, it seems like half the country is aware of the Biden crime family, and it blows the collective mind that the other half of the country cannot accept the facts. If the corporate media doesn't report on it, it is automatically dismissed as fake news. What advice do you have to open the eyes and the minds of the sheeple? You know, it's a good question. I'm a big proponent in just speaking out, right? And sort of communicating your ideas. And I say that not necessarily that you aim your ideas at the sheeple, right? Because if you try to talk to somebody, most people are going to kind of get resentful and they're going to dig their heels in, right? So if you go to this person, you go to your family member and you say, hey, dummy, do you know what Joe Biden's doing out there? Listen, here's a laundry list of all the crime stuff that's going on. They're going to say, oh, well, you're just a whatever, right? Because they've already been preconditioned, pre-programmed to fall into that line of thinking. They've been conditioned, they've been persuaded to just sort of put up their defenses anytime that you confront them with logic or reason. And so they've just got their sort of rehearsed lines about, democracy or whatever that they want to, shove back in your face. And so I think the only thing that you can do is find what matters to you in terms of your principles and your values. So for this show, for example, we talk about accountability, transparency, and justice, right? And I say those for a reason. Those are guiding principles. I'm going to talk about things that I think need some accountability, some transparency, and I want to talk about justice. I believe in those concepts. Those are my orienting principles. And so if I come on here and we have some fun talking through those things, and that's kind of how I, pick my stories. Oh, let's talk about these things. And I'm trying to provide some value to the world, and I'm trying to offer a new perspective, and I'm trying to sort of learn out in public and process things in public. Then I think maybe you might snag a person out there who says, I didn't think about that way. That's interesting. But they came to you. You didn't go to them. So in AA, right, in 12 Steps, we talk about this a lot. It's a program of attraction, not a program of promotion. Okay, we don't go out in AA and say, hey, alcoholic, you need help. Because what does the alcoholic do? He says, no, I don't. You don't know anything about me. You don't know what I'm going through. You don't know my life. Leave me alone. I'm fine. I know that because I was that guy for some time. And so rather than going out there and promoting, hey, Joe Biden's bad, Republicans good, Democrats bad, Republicans good, Democrats bad. No, it doesn't work. We've been trying that in this country for a long time. People are so bundled up in their ideologies. I'm a Republican, so I got to believe everything the Republicans do. I'm a Democrat. I got to believe everything the Democrats do. Or we can just have some conversations, we can discuss ideas, and we can be authentic, and we can be wrong, and we can make mistakes, and we can look like fools, but we're having real conversations. Okay, we're actually talking about some hard issues. We're talking about things that make people uncomfortable. We're talking about things that I don't know everything about, but we're still trying our best to, build a community and think through these issues, have a little bit of fun while we're doing it. And then I think when people see that happening, it's attractive. They go, what's going on over there? That's curious. That's kind of how I got to the program in AA. Oh, that's interesting. Those guys have something that looks pretty good. I'm not happy living in my miserable alcoholic life. I don't like this life. They've got something I want. Let me go see what they're doing over there. And I think that's the recipe for success here, candidly. I've said this before. I think that if you are somebody who sort of adheres to a more problematic ideology that focuses on division and fear and animosity and sort of establishing yourselves as a perpetual victim and eliminating incentives from people so that they really have no motivation to get out there and make something of themselves, why should they? The world's a racist, bigoted place. Why should they do anything meaningful? Well, what's going to end up happening is that is going to cycle itself into a downward spiral. It's going to be very problematic for those people. And the rest of society is going to look over there and say, I don't want anything to do with that. I don't want to be a part of that company where everybody has to, walk around on eggshells. That doesn't sound fun at all. I like what's happening over here. I like freedom. That sounds interesting. Oh, they're talking about issues that kind of make sense to me. Oh, they're questioning things that are happening in the world. That looks attractive. That sounds fun. Let's go listen in. And then you'll get the open-minded will come in and the closed-minded won't. And that's fine. I think a big part of, having meaningful conversations is to know with whom to have them. There are many people in this country that are not worth the time to talk to or even try to convert because they're too hardened, they're too ensconced in their superiority to have any will to even talk to you. Their goal is to convert you to their ideology. Forget about those people. Don't have to engage in them. There's plenty of other people who are much more reasonably minded that are interested in a better way of doing things. And so we'll focus on those people. We'll keep doing what we're doing. We're going to have a lot of fun. Hyper Patriot, you're here. You're a part of the conversation, and I appreciate it. Thank you for a great question. All right, last one of the day. We've got Osak says he wants to know where the gun from Biden came from or something. So I think the gun, I don't know the type of gun. I think it was a handgun. I'm pretty sure it was a handgun. I don't know what caliber it was or what make or model, but it was found in a trash can, I think, by a school is where it came from. And so that's why it turned into a problem. And, that should have been something that should have been reported. And I think the Secret Service showed up and they kind of papered over the whole thing because it was Hunter Biden's gun and it was his spouse. And so they were cleaning up embarrassingly for these, Secret Service officers, Hunter Biden's personal baggage and garbage. That's all I know about the gun, though. And those were great questions. Those all came in from watchingthewatchers.locals.com. Quick check-in on the live chat. Make sure that we are saying hello to everybody before we wrap up. We've got Arcturians is here. Joe Snow's here. We got Want to Know, Relic Hunter. We've got, who else? Let's see. Okay, so, all right. So good stuff going on over in the chat. All right, my friends. That is, that's not it for me. We got to welcome some new members. Hey, the chat's happening over at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. And I didn't even welcome the new people who are now a part of the community over there. That's very, very rude, but we're going to fix that right now. Big welcome over to George Klaus. Welcome, George. Excited to see you and meet you. We've got Texas Flat Roof Man is also in the house. So we don't have... We have two Florida Man now. We have Florida Man number 1 and Florida Man number 2, and then we have Texas Flat Roof Man, which is awesome. Texas Flat Roof Man, very, very big welcome to you. Signed up for the year, so he'll be with us for some time. Grateful that you are here and with us. Looking forward to meeting you. We've got you, Ramirez, who signed up. Angela B66, Freedom Lives, and that one Florida Man who I think is Florida Man number 2. But we'll continually sort that out as the show goes on. But all of them are now a part of our community at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. And I certainly hope to see you at our monthly meetup, which is coming up very soon on July 24th, 2021 from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern time, right on Zoom. Cameras on or off, it's optional. But if they're off, I'm just going to probably presume that you're Robert Mueller from the FBI spying on us. That's okay. Come on in. We got nothing to hide. We're talking about American freedom and democracy and actual interesting conversations. So please come and check that out. If you're not already a member, the place to register and to support the show is at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. gumroad.com, and we very much appreciate all your love over there. And that, my friends, is it for me for the day. I want to thank you so much for being a part of the show. Reminder that we're going to be back here same time, same place tomorrow to do the same thing. 4 p.m. Arizona time, 5 p.m. Mountain, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. on the East Coast. And for that one Florida man and the Texas flat roof man, everybody else, have a tremendous evening. Sleep very well. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for watching. Before you head out, I want to just remind you that I am a criminal defense lawyer here in Scottsdale, Arizona, where my team and we've got a long history of helping good people facing criminal charges to find safety, clarity, and hope in their cases and beyond that in their lives. Our phone number for a free case evaluation is 480-787-0394. You can also find us online at www.rrlawaz.com. We can help with any type of criminal charge in the state of Arizona. Things like DUI, drug offenses, misdemeanor offenses. And we can also help with clearing up old case records, like expunging cases or making sure that you can restore your rights so that you can vote again or possess a firearm again or apply for some other federal benefits. We can remove mugshots off the internet. Basically, anytime that you or somebody you know or love is in trouble with the law in the state of Arizona, we have an amazing team of people. We would just love the opportunity to help. And our phone number, of course, 480-787-0394. And if you don't need any legal services, that's a very good thing. But you may be interested in some informational offerings so that you are prepared if you do have to deal with the police. And of course, I want to invite you to head on over to gumroad.com/Robert Gruler. You'll notice here, I've got several different trainings that are available, including the law enforcement interaction training. This is the 1, 2, 3 rule for dealing with the police. It's one rule you need, 2 questions that the police can ask of you, and 3 responses if they ask you a problematic question. So that's available now. You can also get a load at my personal productivity system here called Existence Systems. Fun little course. And then we have here, if you're a lawyer or a legal professional, be sure to check out this program. We are meeting twice every month. Again, all of this over at gumroad.com/Robert Gruler. And if none of that sounds any good to you, well, just go ahead and give us a follow, because I'm working on some other products and some other offerings. And of course, if you have not already done so, want to invite you one more time to head on over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com. It's where you can support the show, and it's where we can connect. We've got monthly Zoom meetings and a lot of other goodies coming up. So I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you so much for watching and for all of your love and support. I will see you on the next one.